For me, turning 50 was a huge milestone, but it also came with some serious realizations about my health, especially my weight. In this video, I'm going to get a bit personal and talk about something I know that a lot of people go through, especially as we get older, our overweight problem. Specifically, I'm going to share with you what motivated me to lose 40 pounds in 8 months at the age of 50. I had to face some hard truths and make changes, and I'm hoping my story might help some of you who are going through something similar. So sit back and let me tell you about the 4 signs that really drove home the fact that I needed to lose weight. Let's get started. Let me start by telling you a bit about how I've always seen myself. I've always identified as an athlete. Sports were a huge part of my life growing up, and even as I got older, I stayed active, playing pickup games with friends, running, hitting the gym, you name it. So imagine my shock when I went in for a routine checkup with my doctor, who pointed out that my BMI, or body mass index, put me in the obese category. Now, I know BMI isn't everything. It doesn't account for muscle mass, for example, but still the word obese hit me like a ton of bricks. I thought, no way, I'm not obese, I'm an athlete. But the reality was, I had put on more weight than I was willing to admit. Sure, I was still active, but I wasn't in the same shape I used to be, and that BMI number was a reflection of that. It was a real slap in the face, and the first big sign that I couldn't just rely on my past to define my health anymore. I had to face facts and start thinking about what I was doing with my body now, not what I had done years ago. I've learned that even if you're someone who's always been fit, life, and in my case, diet, catches up with you. The years of not paying attention to my eating habits, thinking I could burn it off later, had finally caught up with me. If I didn't take action, I wasn't just going to be a guy with an inflated BMI. I was going to become someone who dealt with real health problems down the road. Now let's talk about clothes. I think most of us have had that moment when we pull on a pair of pants and they just don't fit the way they used to. For me, that moment came when I realized my favorite pair of pants, ones that had always been a bit roomy, were suddenly snug. You know how it goes, a little tug, blame the dryer for shrinking them, or maybe think you've just had a heavy meal. But after a few times of wearing them and feeling the same tightness, I had to admit to myself that it wasn't the pants that had changed. It was me. And let me tell you, that feeling wasn't just physical. It's not just about looking in the mirror and thinking, these don't look good anymore. There's a deeper discomfort, and I felt bad in my clothes. You know that feeling when nothing seems to fit right, and no matter what you put on, it just doesn't feel like you. That was me. I had to go up a size in pants, and let me tell you, that was a pretty humbling experience. Worse than the physical discomfort, though, was the mental toll it took. I didn't feel like myself anymore, and that was a big deal. When you start to feel out of place in your own skin, it affects everything. Confidence, energy, mood. It's all tied to how you feel in your body. So as much as I wanted to ignore it, my clothes were telling me a truth I couldn't ignore. It was time for a change. The next sign hit a little closer to home, and it involved my wife. She started noticing something that at first seemed like just a little small annoyance, my snoring. Now, I've always snored a little bit, but apparently it had gotten worse over the years. She'd nudge me in the middle of the night because I was keeping her awake, and I brushed it off at first. I thought, snoring, big deal, right? But then things got a bit more serious. One night she woke up because I had stopped breathing for a few seconds, and that's when I started to get worried. We'd both heard of sleep apnea, and we knew that it was linked to weight gain. Being overweight can cause airway blockages, and that's exactly what was happening to me. My wife started telling me that every time I slept on my back, I'd stop breathing for a few seconds, and she was genuinely concerned. I mean, I was too, who wouldn't be? That's not just snoring, that's a health issue that could lead to much bigger problems if left unchecked. Sleep apnea is no joke, and if you don't deal with it, it can lead to heart problems, high blood pressure, and all kinds of other issues. It was a wake-up call, literally. My weight wasn't just affecting my day-to-day life, it was putting my health at risk every night while I slept. The final sign that really pushed me to take action had to do with something that's been on my mind for years. I've had high blood pressure, take medication for it, but my family history was a concern. Heart disease runs in my family. My dad had heart issues, as early as his early 40s, and a couple other family members have struggled with heart problems over the years. So I've always known that this was something I needed to keep an eye on. But here's the thing. Knowing it and doing something about it are two very different things. I knew I was carrying extra weight, high blood pressure, and I knew that that was increasing my risk for heart disease. But it wasn't until I turned 50 and saw the changes in my body, felt the tightness in my clothes, dealt with snoring, that I really started to connect the dots. The extra weight wasn't just a number on the scale. It was putting a real strain on my heart, and with my family's history, I knew that I was headed for trouble if I didn't take and make a change. Heart disease is no joke, and it's one of the leading causes of death for men over 50. That was always in the back of my mind, but now it was front and center. It was time to take my health into my own hands before it was too late. So those were the 4 big signs that really hit me hard and made me realize it was time to lose weight. It wasn't an easy journey, and it took a lot of soul searching, but once I made the decision to take control of my diet, things started to change for the better, and I was able to drop 40 pounds in 8 months at the age of 50. If you're seeing any of these signs in your own life, whether it's snoring, whether your clothes are feeling a bit tighter, or maybe you've got a family history of heart disease like I did, don't wait. It's never too late to make a change. For me, my next steps were related to starting with diet rather than exercise. And in future videos, I'll dive into what steps I took to lose the weight. Thanks for tuning in. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need to hear the message, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Get healthy, find your motivation, and I'll see you in the next video.